Hello. Are you excited for this year's Halloween? JB Eagle, that's me, is standing in front of a scary Christmas tree because the movie we are going to review today is a crossover between Halloween and Christmas. Plus, I'm going trick-or-treating dressed like a reindeer this year. The scary Christmas movie that I'm talking about is The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now that it's time for me to analyze this strange concoction of two of the most popular holidays, does this movie spark the feeling of cheer like Christmas, or is it more of the sense of fright like Halloween? This scary review will be delivered to you right now. The story. The story for this spooky Christmas film is now being delivered. The film follows the misadventures of Jack Skellington, Halloween Town's beloved Pumpkin King, who has become bored with the same annual routine of frightening people in the real world. When Jack accidentally stumbles on Christmas Town, all bright colors and warm spirits, he gets a new lease on life. He plots to bring Christmas under his control by kidnapping Santa Claus and taking over the role. But Jack soon discovers even the best laid plans of mice and skeleton men can go seriously awry. This movie is all about opposites. Taking two beloved holidays that are completely different from one another and mash them together to get the best of both worlds. The animation. Prepare to meet animated shots that are fearful and joyous. There are 3 shots in the entire film that were filmed at normal speed. One is the opening overhead shot of the trees in the forest, the fog coming out of the fountain, and the other is the bugs falling into the molten pit in Oogie Boogie's lair. Sally's mouth movements were animated through the replacement method. During the animation process, only Sally's face mask was removed in order to preserve the order of her long reddish-brown hair. Sally had 10 types of faces, each made with a series of 11 expressions and synchronized mouth movements. It is stated in the making of book that the most difficult shot to film in the entire movie is the shot in which Jack is reaching for the doorknob to Christmas Land. Viewers can see the perfect surround reflection of the forest around Jack in the background. Originally, a longer version of Jack trying to get to the true meaning of Christmas through science was fully animated. Some of the best gags, including a scene of Jack doing illustrations of Santa and his monster form, were cut simply due to time purposes. A crossed-out calculation on Jack's blackboard seems to equate 3 times the square of pi multiplied by 12 to Christmas Day. The true numerical answer is approximately 355.31. If the decimal portion is dropped, then this equates to December 21st, the 355th day of the year, hence the crossed-out equation. December 21st, however, is the first day of winter in the Northern Hemisphere. It is also the birthday of Jeffrey Katzenberg, the film's executive producer and most often credited for turning Walt Disney Studios and its animation division around after joining in 1984. Henry Selick and his team of animators began production in July 1991 in San Francisco, California, with a crew of over 120 workers, utilizing 20 sound stages for filming. Joe Ranft was hired from Disney as a storyboard supervisor, while Eric Layton was hired to supervise animation. At the peak of production, 20 individual stages were simultaneously being used for filming. In total, there were 109,440 frames taken for the film. The work of Ray Harryhausen, Ladislas Stervich, Edward Gorey, Etienne de Lissert, Gahan Wilson, Charles Adams, Jan Lenica, Francis Bacon, and Wassily Kandinsky influenced the filmmakers. Slick described the production design as akin to a pop-up book. In addition, Slick stated, "When we reach Halloween Town, it's entirely German expressionism. When Jack enters Christmas Town, it's an outrageous Dr. Seuss-ic set piece. Finally, when Jack is delivering presents in the real world, everything is plain, simple, and perfectly aligned." Vincent Price, Don Amici, and James Earl Jones were considered to provide the narration for the film's prologue. However, all proved difficult to cast, and the producers instead hired local voice artist Ed Ivory. In Oogie Boogie's song, there was a storyboarded sequence where bugs come out of Oogie's eyes and danced on his arm before he belches them off. It was removed from the film because it was considered difficult to make miniature armatures for all the bugs. Another scrap scene involved his shadow dancing on a rotating orange background and was traditionally animated but ended up being cut for timing. Despite this, the lyrics during these scenes were included on the film's soundtrack. 2 items were invented to facilitate the filming of the movie. One was a light alarm which would warn the animators if any of the stage lights failed to come on. The other was a system that enabled a puppeteer to seamlessly switch to a replacement puppet if a puppet broke during a shot. Prior to this, either situation, a light failing to come on or a puppet breaking would destroy a shot. It took a group of around 100 people 3 years to complete this movie. For 1 second of film, up to 12 stop-motion moves had to be made. Though Jack is usually shown with white stripes on his clothes, his 2D artworks usually have them absent. Jack's puppet used for the film is made from clay. This is the first fully animated Disney film not to be traditionally animated. The characters. This is a case where it has an entire town filled with memorable characters. Jack Skellington is the patron spirit of Halloween, portrayed as being on par with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny within his own holiday. As a living skeleton, he is immortal and can remove parts of his body without harm, as is often demonstrated for comic relief. He is the most important of many Halloween spirits, with the implication that their job is to scare people in the real world on Halloween night, though all in innocent fun. Then there is Sally, who is a ragdoll monster from Halloween Town created by Dr. Finkelstein. An intelligent yet inconspicuous woman, she yearns for independence but is repeatedly restrained by her overprotective creator. She is also romantically infatuated with Jack. We also have Oogie Boogie, who is the infamous boogeyman depicted as a bug-filled burlap sack with a penchant for gambling. He lives on the outskirts of Halloween Town in a casino-like lair underneath the treehouse of his henchmen Lock, Shock, and Barrel. He is both feared and detested for his ghastly nature, cannibalistic appetite, and rivalry with Jack. There has been debate over whether the Shadow on the Moon character seen during This Is Halloween is the same character as Oogie Boogie, as they bear a striking resemblance to one another. However, in Villains Unleashed, Oogie Boogie calls himself the Shadow on the Moon at night, confirming the speculation, further emphasized by a similar reference in the 2015 theme park show Hocus Pocus Villain Spell-tacular. If Oogie is indeed the Shadow on the Moon, then this seems to indicate that his banishment is lifted on occasion of Halloween for him to participate. He also fights in the form of the Shadow in The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge. The Harlequin monster is modeled and named after a classical form of clown known as a harlequin. Harlequins were distinguished by dressing in clothing covered in diamond color schemes of orange/red and green/black, which the feathers of the Harlequin demon channel. They are also portrayed as having jester hats, which the three tentacles of the Harlequin demon resemble. In classical tradition, Harlequins were trickster characters who often played demons or the devil in story performances, hence the nature of the Harlequin demon. Jack was listed number 22 in Empire magazine's The 50 Best Animated Movie Characters, stating as his stroke of genius the song, "What's This?" as Jack, accustomed he is to the dark, twisted Halloween Town, tries to get his head around the sweetness and light of Christmas Town. Jack Skellington has become a recurring theme in Gothic-style clothing and accessories, mostly due to his character and nature, as well as the nature of the movie in general. Originally, in the movie, Oogie Boogie was going to be a disguised Finkelstein. Finkelstein, upon defeat, would admit that he was doing this because he was jealous that Sally chose Jack over him. This hints that Sally might have originally been more of a love interest of Finkelstein's rather than a daughter. This ending was changed as it came out of nowhere with a serious lack of any setup. The producer, Tim Burton, hated the idea so much he reportedly kicked a hole in a wall after hearing it. Having his color palette consists of only black and white, literally, not counting when he's wearing Santa's outfit or when he's wearing the Pumpkin King outfit, Jack is so the first and so far only character in Disney history to be completely colorless despite coming from a Technicolor film. All other black and white characters before and after him came from black and white films as well. Although Jack is the hero/protagonist of this film, in some stories in the Disney parks, most notably Walt Disney World, his merchandise is seen alongside that of the Disney villains. This may have something to do by the fact that Jack is a bit antagonistic early on in the film when he resolves to kidnap Santa Claus to take over Christmas while being oblivious to Santa's opinion. In the original poem written by Tim Burton, the only characters that existed were Jack, Zero, and Santa. All the other characters were made up for the movies, although he describes some of the presents which were given out, including in some cases the names of the children. When Jack removes his head to recite Shakespearean quotations due to his dead status, he is referencing Hamlet, in particular a famous scene where the title character finds a skull belonging to a deceased court jester named Yorick, with whom the titular character is familiar. Sally originally was supposed to have trouble walking. However, the filmmakers changed this because they thought Sally looked drunk while walking. However, it is shown that Sally walks more stiffly than other characters. Despite being considered a villain by many fans, Tim Burton himself does not consider Oogie Boogie evil. Nevertheless, Oogie is still marketed as a villain and is considered one due to his heinous actions against Santa, Sally, and Jack throughout the movie. Despite generally being considered antagonists, the trio consisting of Lock, Shock, and Barrel is meant to emulate how real children their age act, although obviously with an increased fascination for the morbid and the macabre, being citizens of Halloween Town. Lock, Shock, and Barrel's names are derived from wordplay of the phrase lock, stock, and barrel, a phrase meaning everything, which in turn was derived from the components of a musket. Finkelstein is only referred to as the evil scientist in the credits. His true name is only mentioned in the movie when the mayor calls him up to the front of the line for his Christmas assignment. In the game spin-offs and Kingdom Hearts series, Finkelstein's name is pronounced Steen instead of Stein. Behemoth is based on B-movie actor/Swedish wrestler Tor Johnson. The pudgy ghoul boy in a striped t-shirt is likely a nod to Pugsley Adams. Have a great Halloween, and don't let your Christmas be scary.